Good evening and welcome back. Tonight's story isn't about shadows or whispers in the dark. It's about something far more terrifying. Evil that sat at the dinner table and smiled.
She was a wife, a mother, a caretaker, and behind closed doors, she was death itself. Tonight, we're stepping into the life of Mary Ann Cotton, a woman who turned love, trust, and family into weapons.
This case shocked an entire country. Bodies followed her wherever she went, and for years, no one questioned why the people closest to her kept dying.
Before we go any further, we need to give you a clear warning.
This episode contains scary content, foul language, discussion of murder. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
This episode is presented for entertainment purposes only, and true crime information discussed is based on publicly available sources.
Tonight we uncover the woman's history remembers as Britain's first known serial female killer.
So dim the lights, lock your doors,
and settle in.
This is the story of Mary Ann Cotton. Okay, so Mary Ann Cotton was the first known on record female serial killer in England. Okay, so just to kind of give you a mini backstory, Marion Robson, that's Robson, was born on October 31st, 1832, at Low Morsley, County Durham, to Margaret Lonsdale and Michael Robson, and he was a colliery sinker and Baptist at St. Mary's, West Raynton, on November 11th. Her sister Margaret was born on 1834, but lived only a few months, while her brother Robert was born in 1835. So a year later, she had a brother. So when Mary Ann was 8, her parents moved the family to County Durham village of Merton. At the time of her trial, the Northern Echo published an article containing a description of Mary Ann as given by her childhood Wesleyan Sunday school superintendent, describing her as the most exemplary and regular attender, a girl of innocent disposition and average intelligence, and distinguished for her particular clean and tidy appearance. So she was looking nice. She was tidy. So soon after that move, Marianne's father fell 150 feet to his death down a mine shaft at Merton Collier in February of 1842. Her father's body was delivered to her mother in a sack bearing the stamp property of the South Hetton Coal Company. So, as the miners' cottage they inhabited was tied to Michael's job, the widow and children would have evicted. In 1843, her mother carried George Stott, that's 1816 to 1895, for those that love the dates. Also a minor. So at age 16, Mary Ann left the home to become a nurse at a nearby village in South Hedden in the home of Edward Potter, a manager at Merton Collier, after all of the children had been sent to boarding school in Darrington over the next 3 years. She returned to her stepfather's home and trained as a dressmaker. So she was trained as a nurse and she was trained as a dressmaker. And I want to put a big emphasis on that because that's are kind of like the two
That's kind of
popular things, Yeah, exactly.
Like
So-
Harry Potter.
Potter.
And they are from Britain too, aren't they? Ooh.
No, it's England.
Whatever. England, Britain, they're all around the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she had magical powers like Harry Potter.
No, she did not.
No, she did not. But she did have powers or something. Let's get into her husbands. I'm just saying.
So we're gonna go into that.
She did have some powers, but Let's get into
Yeah.
that. As her husbands go, she had many. In 1852, 20-year-old Marianne married collier laborer William Mowbray at Newcastle. They soon moved to southwest England. At the time of her trial, there were reports of 4 or 5 children dying young while they live away in Durham. None of these deaths are registered, but you got to think back then they didn't register all the births and deaths, so we got to remember that. As though registration was supposed to be at that time, the law was not enforced until 1874. The only birth recorded was that of their only one daughter, Margaret Jane, born at St. Germans in 1856. William died of intestinal disorder in January 1865. The lives of the William and of their children were insured by British Insurance Office. So she basically is collecting money on all these deaths. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She collected 35 pounds on William's death and a half a year wages at that time. Husband number 2, George Ward. Soon after Mowbray's death, Mary Ann moved to Seaham Harbor, where she struck up a relationship with Joseph Nattrass. During the time, her 3.5-year-old daughter, the second Margaret Jane, died of fever, leaving her with one child of up to 9 she had born at that point. So she had one
Aw.
child left. Other than don't awe this woman.
I
She's
know, but that's
I know
sad.
Yeah.
it is sad,
It's the
but
children.
the children sad that part, yes. But she
Yeah.
was responsible for most of their
Mhm.
immature, like their deaths.
Sick woman.
Well, going back down to it, his death certificate was English cholera or typhoid. They're saying that he died of. He came very ill, yet he had been surprised that his death was so sudden. Mary Ann collected insurance money in his death, too. Let's go down to the third husband. The reason I'm doing these a
Mm.
little fast because she had a lot of them. Just saying. James Robinson was a shipwright in Sutherland, whose wife Hannah had recently died. He hired Mary Ann as a housekeeper in November 1866. A month later, when James's baby John died of the fever, he turned to his housekeeper for comfort, and she became pregnant. Then Mary Ann's mother, living in Harbor County, became ill with hepatitis, so Mary Ann immediately went to her. Although the mother began to recover, she also began to complain of stomach pains. She also died at the age of 54 in the spring of 1867, 9 days after her daughter Mary Ann arrived. In 1867, Mary Ann's stepfather, George Stout, married his widow neighbor, Hannah Paley. Mary Ann's daughter, Isabel, was brought back to the Robinson household and soon developed severe stomach pains, and then she also passed, as did Robinson's 2 children, Elizabeth and James. All 3 children were buried in the last week of April and the first week of May, 1867. Mary Ann also received £5 for Isabel, and then for the rest. Robinson married Mary Ann on August 11th, 1867. The first child, Margaret Isabel, on her baptism records, was born that November. She became ill and died in February 1968, 1 year later. The second child then was born 18th of June 1869. Robinson, meanwhile, had become suspicious of his wife, which, come on now, that he ensue his life. He discovered she had run up debts of 60 pounds behind his back and had stolen more than 50 pounds that she expected to be in the bank. Then he found that
Mm-mm.
Mary Ann had been forcing his older children to pawn household valuables. He threw her out, retaining custody of George. So one husband got to survive, husband number 3. Husband number 4, quickly she works. I'm sorry, that was mean. Mary Ann was desperate and living on the streets until her friend Margaret Conant introduced her to her brother Frederick, a pitman, a recent widower living in Walbottle, who had lost 2 of his 4 children. Margaret had acted as a substitute mother for the remaining children. Frederick Jr. and Charles, but in the late March 1870, she died from an unexpected stomach ailment, leaving Mary Ann to console the grieving Frederick Sr. Soon, her 12th pregnancy was underway.
Wow.
You all get that, like how
Yeah.
that's working, and her
Yeah, yeah.
That's
that's
sick.
that's amazing. Like Connie and Mary Ann was married on September 17th, 1870, at St. Andrews, Newcastle. Their son was born in 1871. Soon after, Mary Ann lent her former lover, Joseph, was living 48 kilometers, so 30 miles away in a village, and was no longer married. She rekindled that romance and persuaded her new family to move near him. Cotton died in December that year from gastric fever. Insurance had been infected on his life and those of his sons. Now,
Yeah.
on top of all these marriages, she also had two lovers. I'm going to quick go over these lovers, then that part of her life is there. After Frederick's death, Natra soon became Mary Ann's lodger. She gained employment as a nurse to exercise officer recovering from smallpox. Popular culture sources have called John Quick Manning, though there appears to be no trace of John Quick Manning in the records. But the sentence back then wasn't always up to par. However, Richard Quickman, a custom and exercise man specialist in breweries, had been found in their records. This may be the real name of Mary Ann Cotton's lover. Soon Mary became pregnant with their 13th child. Frederick Jr. died in
Wow.
1872, and infant Robert soon after. So, and then she got insurance policies for both. So, if you look through her records, 13 children,
Mm-mm.
6 men,
11.
11 children passed. So, two survived. Oh, the two that husband number 3 kept
Mm-hmm.
survived. But that was her lovers and husbands.
All right. So Mary Ann's downfall came when a parish official, Thomas Riley, asked her to help nurse a woman who was ill with smallpox. She claimed that the last surviving cotton boy, Charles Edward, was in the way and asked Riley if he could be committed to the workhouse. Riley, who also served as I'm not even going to say that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just, I'm not going to butcher the name.
Yeah.
Someone's assistant coroner said she needed to accompany him. She told Riley that the boy was sickly and added, "I won't be troubled long. He'll go like all the rest of the Cottons."
Wow. Mic drop.
Yeah.
so
She got
five
the drama.
So 5 days later, Mary Ann told Riley that the boy had died. Riley went to the village police and persuaded the doctor to delay writing a death certificate until the circumstances could be investigated. Mary Ann's first visit after Charles's death was not to not to the doctor, but the insurance office. There she discovered that no money would be paid out until a death certificate was issued. An inquest was held and the jury returned a verdict of natural causes. Mary Ann claimed to have used arrowroot to relieve, oh wait, hold on, sorry, his illness, and said Riley had made accusations against her because she had rejected his advances.
Oh, wow. Yeah, really, Marianne.
Yeah,
That's
we don't
it.
believe that.
That's it, Mary.
Well, then the local newspapers latched on to the story and discovered Mary Ann had moved around northern England and lost 3 husbands, a lover, a friend, her mother, and 11 children, all of whom had died of stomach fevers.
But yet she rejected his advances.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So, rumor gave rise to suspicion and scientific investigation. Dr. William Byers Kilburn, who had attended Charles, had kept samples and tests showed they contained arsenic. He told the police who arrested Marianne and pros- pro- procured, I am so sorry, an exhumation. I don't even know.
Yeah, you could just skip that. You're fine.
So, but whatever, something to do with Charles's body. She was charged with his murder, although the trial was delayed until after the delivery in Durham on January 7th, 1873, of her 13th and final child, who she named Margaret Edith Quick Manning Cotton.
All right.
Yeah,
Keep it
so
busy.
so Cotton's trial began at Durham um, on March 5th of 1873. The delay was caused by a problem in the selection of prosecution counsel. Oh, shoot, sorry. A Mr. Aspinwall was first considered by the Attorney General, Sir John Duke Coleridge, whose decision it was choose his friend and
Protege.
protege. Oh my gosh. Charles Russell. Russell's appointment over Aspinwall led to a question in the House of Commons. However, it was accepted and Russell conducted the prosecution. The Cotton cases was the first of several famous poisoning cases he would be involved in during his career, including those of Bartlett and Florence Maybrick. Yeah, it was weird. The defense in the case was handled by Thomas Campbell Foster, who argued during the trial that Charles had died from inhaling arsenic used as a dye in the green wallpaper of the Cotton home. So,
Yeah,
like, he is sniffing wallpaper.
well, back then the wallpaper was made of anything green and that had arsenic.
Hmm. The doctor testified that there was no other powder on the same shelf in the chemist's shop as the arsenic, only liquid. The chemist himself claimed that there was other powders. Campbell Foster argued that it was possible that the chemist had mistakenly used arsenic powder instead of, what is that, something
Bismuth.
powder. Yeah. Which was used to treat diarrhea when preparing a bottle for Cotton because he had been distracted by talking to other people. The jury retired for 90 minutes before returning a guilty verdict.
Hot
I
mess.
know
Hot mess.
it was. Um,
So on March 20th, that's what it says.
yeah, so there was a report on March 20th. After conviction, the wretched woman exhibited strong emotion, but this gave place in a few hours to her habitual cold, reserved
Demeanor.
demeanor. Oh my gosh. And
Yep.
while she harbors a strong conviction that the royal clemency will be extended towards her, she staunchly asserts her innocence of the crime that she has been convicted of. Several petitions were presented to the Home Security Secretary, but to no avail. Mary Ann Cotton was hanged at Durham County on March 24th of 1873 by William Calcraft. She died not from her neck breaking, but by strangulation caused by the rope being rigged too short, possibly deliberately. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
The scandal.
But it does say Mary Ann's of Mary Ann's 13 children, only two survived her. Margaret Edith from 1873 to 1954, and then her son George from her marriage to James Robinson.
That gives you goosebumps right there.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Like for real, I just
it
got
does.
chills.
Because back then, a lot of children did pass from ailments, but not at them numbers. So we all
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
know what she did, and that gives you goosebumps. She
It's just
was a poisoner. What?
I don't it's crazy that people did the I guess what we call death sentences now. They do the hangings
Yeah,
instead of like let's not hang people anymore. I think other countries might still do it. I'm not
they
too
do.
sure, but you know,
She
US.
had no, we have her victims were 21, included 3 of her husbands and 11 children. She had a 21 victims before going to the gallows.
Mhm.
So that's a lot
Yeah.
for a poisoner.
For a stomach bug.
Yeah, or typhoid fever.
Like, girl, bye.
Mhm.
I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching. And if you want to catch an episode early, the only way to watch that is on Nighthawk Radio, usually around 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Central Time, usually. You can always check their website or Facebook for updates. And I hope y'all stay spooky. Happy New Year. Stay safe and have your cinnamon.
Blessed be.
Bye. Bye bye.
Okay, can we talk about skincare for a second? Because my algorithm has been obsessed with love Indus lately.
Same, and honestly, it kinda makes sense for me. It's a mix of ancient beauty rituals and modern day skincare science.
And people rave about it. Vogue, Elle, Birdie, Women's Health. That's not random hype.
And what I really like is the ingredients, like especially when you're like reading them off, you're like vegan ghee, ashwagandha, copper, stuff that actually nourishes your skin, not just sits on top of it because ew.
And let's be honest, toxin free, no harsh chemicals, no weird fillers, just really intentional, good for you skincare.
And the Ambrotini collection is probably what they're most known for. Hydrating, strengthening, and helping skin look smoother and more youthful.
And there's this line limiter people compare to a non invasive Botox look, but without needles.
Plus, they have skin masks, serums, glow drops, whether you want hydration, brightness, or just healthier skin overall. There's something there for everyone.
And it also makes for a great gift because it feels really luxurious.
And right now you can get 21% off only for our listeners with code HOST when you shop at loveindis.com.
Seriously, if your skincare routine needs a glow up, this is a good place to start. Remember, go to loveindius.com, use our code HOST.
And thank me later.